Hey guys, Jacob Bertram here, and welcome back to Modern Masculinity. Today I want to talk about the relationship between men and women and how it has changed over the past few hundred years. How has the dichotomy between the masculine and feminine roles in Western society changed? And what can we learn from that? In order to answer this question, I'm going to be analyzing three particular domains: war, politics, and family. Let's start out with war. Simply put, men used to be the only ones fighting war. Now, both men and women are allowed to enlist. While on the surface, this may seem that the dichotomy between the role of men and women has been completely erased, but I don't think that's quite true. Something like 98% of the US military is made up of men. The US military's actual fighting force is made up of men. So war is still a masculine domain, but now women are allowed into it. And I think the fact that there are so few women in most militaries in the Western world points to the fact that our society still sees men as those who should be responsible for defending their country and fighting wars. There has also been a broader change in the way war is treated by governments. War, until quite recently, I'm thinking until even the Second World War, was a society-wide effort. Everybody in society of working age was working towards the war effort in some way, be it through manufacturing or fighting. Now, however, since the Second World War and the post-war period, it is uncommon for wars to be kind of these all-encompassing things in the Western world, because wars generally no longer offer existential threats in most Western countries. That's a tangent, but I'm going to move on to the second domain that I wanted to analyze, and that is politics. So, while political rights were rare overall before the 19th century, they were given exclusively to men in the places in which they existed. I'm thinking specifically of the United States, a country in which full political rights were given, but only to white landowning men, but for the sake of argument today, we're going to say men. Now, in, I'm pretty sure, every single Western country, men and women both have essentially the same political rights. Politics was also one of these domains that used to be dominated, it used to be a masculine field. However, it's different from war in that it no longer remains completely dominated by men, despite the alleged equality of men and women within it. So, in war, men are still broadly the ones fighting war. In politics, however, women have a much larger role. It's not 50-50, but women play a massive role in politics now. Off the top of my head, I know that Jacinda Ardern, I believe, is or was the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and there have been plenty of female leaders in the Western world. I'm thinking Angela Merkel in Germany, even Kim Campbell in Canada, though she wasn't in office for long. So politics have increasingly become a genderless realm, as it were. The stigmas around women's natural ineptitudes in politics have largely been erased. It's generally accepted now in liberal democracies that men and women are equally capable of being leaders. So politics have definitely the roles of men and women in politics have changed drastically since the Industrial Revolution. The final domain, the final field that I want to talk about in order to illustrate the evolution in the roles of men and women is family. This is perhaps the most important field of them all. Men and women used to have defined and strict roles and responsibilities in the family. Now, these dedicated roles are far less common. Men and women generally do the same family duties, but the distribution is still traditionally skewed in many cases. What I mean by this, in plain English, is that, back before the Industrial Revolution, or even before the turn of the 20th century, women and men had defined roles in the home. Men were the breadwinners. They would go out and work all day, come home, and that was it. They provided the money required. They provided the material wealth required to ensure the family's survival. Women, on the other hand, would stay home. They would cook the food. They would do the laundry. They would take care of the children if there were any. And now these roles, the roles of breadwinner and homemaker, essentially, are shared between men and women. A lot of this is due to our current economic circumstances in most Western countries. It is no longer feasible for the average family to have a single income situation. If you're going to have kids, you need to have both adults working in most cases. So part of this is just because of necessity, but I think generally due to societal progress, if that's what you want to call it, I call it just a change in society. Now men and women both change the diapers. They both take care of the kids for the afternoon. They both work. However, I think in many cases, it's still traditionally skewed. So while the men and the women will do the same roles, the women will do more of the traditionally feminine roles, and the men will do more of the traditionally masculine roles. An example of this, in a real-world application, would be a family situation in which the man works full-time and hangs out and takes care of the kids on the weekends, does some laundry sometimes, cleans the dishes after dinner. Whereas the woman maybe works part-time, 15 to 20 hours a week to support the household, but she does the brunt of the childcare and homemaking activities. This, in my view, is still probably an equitable distribution of the roles. It's just distributed differently. So each party is not doing neither. It's in between, right? Because neither party, the parties are not both doing the same roles, the same frequency, nor are they sticking exclusively to each their respective traditional roles. There's a mix there. That was a long way to basically say what I said at the beginning. But how have these changes impacted our society? What has changed? I'm going to go into a sociology concept, so buckle up. So anomie, which for those who don't know is essentially a feeling of uneasiness, lack of purpose, social malaise that occurs it just occurs when people don't have a dedicated, predetermined role within a society. So, for our argument, anomie runs rampant in modern society due to people's general lack of a predetermined purpose, and the weakening of gender roles contributes to this. If you think back to the Industrial Revolution and before, and really before the Industrial Revolution, as during the Industrial Revolution, men, women, and children all had to work. That's how bad the economic situation was. That's a tangent. But the weakening of gender roles contributes to anomie, as men no longer think, okay, it is my purpose, it is my duty, it is my role to go out and work hard every day to provide for my family. And the woman no longer thinks it is my purpose, it is my duty, it is my goal to create a happy, sustainable, nurturing home for myself, my husband, and my children. So just the weakening of the dichotomy between masculine and feminine roles within society contributes to anomie. Obviously, there are more things at hand. I'm thinking of industrialization, urbanization, but the weakening of gender roles absolutely plays a part. So this has all been rather heavy stuff, or light stuff, depending on your perspective. So what can you do as a man to reinforce the traditional dynamic in your home, if that is what you and your woman both agree to do? So the first thing you need to do, really, is finding the right woman. She needs to be family-oriented and maternal. Don't just look for a woman and date her because she's pretty or you both play video games. Find a woman who has family values like yours. And the second part, and this is one that I think a lot of men in the self-improvement community overlook, is you need to be the right man. You need to step into your role as a provider and leader. You can't just expect, your woman to stay home and take care of the kids and make you a sandwich and then, just work part-time and not be able to provide the security for her that she needs in order to step into her traditional role. So you as a man need to put yourself in a position where you can provide for your wife, 2 kids, and a dog, So that's the video. I wanted to make a little longer video. I wanted to talk about something a little deeper than usual. I hope you guys have enjoyed. It's still related to masculinity, and perhaps the video most related to my channel's name, Modern Masculinity. But I think it was an important video to make, and I would really, really love to hear what you guys have to say. I read every single comment. I don't reply to most of them, but I read them. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Stay reasonably hard.